One of the most common reasons people abandon physiotherapy before completing their program is a mismatch between the expected recovery timeline and what the biology of tissue repair actually allows. They expect to feel better in 2 weeks. The tissue needs 6. Understanding the realistic timeline for your specific injury before the frustration of a mid-recovery plateau arrives prevents premature return, reduces re-injury rates, and keeps people in their programs long enough to complete them. Let me give you evidence-based timelines for the most common sports injuries in Malaysia and explain the factors that genuinely affect recovery speed. Grade 1 muscle strains, fewer than 10% of fibres disrupted, typically recover in 1 to 3 weeks with appropriately graded loading. Grade 2 muscle strains, partial tears, require 4 to 8 weeks minimum. In muscles with high mechanical demands like the hamstring in a sprinting athlete, 6 to 10 weeks is the realistic range for grade 2 injuries. Hamstring strains deserve specific attention because they are the most frequently mismanaged muscle injury in Malaysian sport. The proximal hamstring, which inserts near the side bone at the base of the buttock, has a relatively poor blood supply compared to the muscle belly. This means it heals more slowly, and players who return at 3 to 4 weeks after a proximal hamstring injury routinely re-injure within the first few sessions back. The re-injury rate for inadequately rehabilitated hamstring strains is significantly higher than any other common muscle injury, and each re-injury deepens the scar tissue involvement and extends the next recovery timeline. Grade 1. Lateral ankle sprains recover in 1 to 3 weeks with proper rehabilitation. Grade 2. Ankle sprains, partial ligament tears, take 3 to 6 weeks. Grade 3 ankle sprains, complete ligament tears, need 8 to 12 weeks before returning to full sport load. Without proprioceptive rehabilitation across that window, residual instability significantly elevates re-injury risk. And this is the primary driver of recurrent ankle problems in Malaysian recreational athletes. Patellar tendinopathy is the injury most consistently underestimated for timeline. Acute pain can reduce with 2 to 3 weeks of load modification. The tendon structure itself requires 3 to 6 months of properly dosed progressive rehabilitation to reach the state where it tolerates sustained high sport demands without reaggravating. This gap between pain resolution and structural readiness is the reason the same athlete has the same conversation every season. Pain settles, they return to full training, it flares again within weeks. Rotator cuff tendinopathy follows a similar pattern. 4 to 6 months of consistent exercise-based rehabilitation before genuine shoulder resilience is achieved. A CL reconstruction sits at the far end of the timeline, 9 to 12 months before return to sport under properly applied criteria. The graft undergoes ligamentization, remodeling from transplanted tissue into functional ligament, and this biological process cannot be accelerated by training intensity. Athletes who return at 6 or 7 months before ligamentization is complete have significantly elevated re-injury rates compared to those who wait for full criteria to be met. 2 factors consistently accelerate recovery within the limits biology sets. Sleep is the most undervalued. Muscle protein synthesis and neural consolidation of movement patterns both peak during deep sleep, and athletes averaging under 7 hours take measurably longer to reach the same rehabilitation milestones. Consistent adherence to the daily home program compounds throughout recovery. The gap between completing exercises every day and completing them 3 times a week, sustained over 12 weeks, is clinically measurable by the 6-month mark. The graded loading principle underpins everything. Mechanical stress applied within tissue tolerance drives collagen alignment, promotes vascular ingrowth, and stimulates the neural remodeling that restores full neuromuscular control. This is why sport-specific exercises in the later stages of rehabilitation produce better outcomes than generic strengthening alone. The neural pathways being trained need to match the specific movement demands of the sport you are returning to. The physiotherapist's job is to know which specific loading progressions achieve this for your injury and your sport, something a general fitness program cannot provide. The link in the description covers realistic timelines for all common sports injuries and explains what a well-structured sports physiotherapy program looks like at each stage.